Rania, give Egypt a little bit of credit. I love Egyptians
Egypt
and
حلوة. القاهرة حلوة.
You know, I just say the truth. There's good and bad.
It's exactly.
Like
mainly,
everywhere.
mainly bad.
There you go. Somebody who's actually been in
The
contact.
Egyptians said it, not us.
Only half.
Only half.
Let's clarify, only half.
That's it.
It's different when you go in the stay in the Sheraton 5-star and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
roll out the red carpet for you, have a different experience.
Yeah.
Of that.
And you
Obviously.
see, when you actually live in the culture, you see
No, I know.
everything.
6
So,
days later, I was like, okay, bye.
yep.
6 days, bruh. 2 months wasn't enough for me.
Okay,
I
guys,
didn't
we
see
are
anything
live.
5-star.
I would
Oops.
like.
So
Okay.
you better behave.
Like,
Okay, so
yes, what's
Take 2.
propaganda? Okay, what happens? Yes, what's
Take 2.
propaganda?
hello, everybody. I hope you all having a good evening. I'm so excited that we are joined by amazing artists. With me today, I have Rania Ahmed and Osama Sami, Noor Abu Zaid, and Manal Yunus. We will be hearing words and songs from Samah Sabawi, Reem Talhami, and Buran Saada, Aya Khalaf, and Rana Haddad, and Rida Yassin. So I'm so excited that this is happening. I would just mute myself on YouTube so I don't hear myself. So that's great. And before I start, I would like to acknowledge the Aboriginal owners of this land, where I live, breathe, and stand and talk about my own land, the Aboriginal people of the Kulin Nation. And I pay my respect to their elders, past and present. And before we head into hearing from the amazing guests we have today, I would like to ask and invite Osama Sami to read some of the beautiful Samah Sabawi's poem, The Acknowledgement to Country, and I hope you guys enjoy it too.
Shukran, Asil. Thank you very much, Asil. And hello, everybody. It's amazing to be here. And thanks, Asil, for the invite amongst wonderful, talented artists. These are the words of Samah Sabawi. I acknowledge the original owners of the land we live upon and the original owners of the land we come from, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and the Palestinian people under occupation, and pay my respect to our elders past and present who safeguard our history, the Hakawatis and weavers of dreamtime stories forever embedded in our memory, and to express my outrage for Black children in incarceration and Palestinian children in arbitrary detention, and for families pulled apart, fragmented, and colonized. I acknowledge the traditional women of our land, those who carve life from the sacred earth and breathe into it indigenous pride, and those who give birth in the rubble, under the bombs and at checkpoints, and to acknowledge the men who still stand dignified, their heads held high, refusing to bow to oppression, and to express my admiration for those resisting the horrors of settler colonies and those who march with us for equality beyond the rhetorical apology, the meaningless sorry, and the dazzling facade of Western civility. I come from colonized land. I live on colonized land. And that's true for all of us here. And right here, I pay my respect to all freedom fighters, past and present. Palestine will be free, and this land will always be Aboriginal. Words of Samah Sabawi.
Amazing.
Thank you, Osama. I have a beautiful feelings every time I hear this poem, either from Samah or anyone that we love. And next artist and next person I love hearing as well from, and is a teacher of lots of artists in Palestine. She's a mother of amazing daughters and a very talented person, is Reem Telhami. Reem is sharing with us today stories of her, how she started as a Palestinian artist, how that's her journey started, and she's sharing it in Arabic. For those who are listening to it, you'll understand where the Reem's passion is coming from and why it's important to talk about Palestine and sing those songs. So I hope you enjoy that.
أو يسعد أوقاتكم. بتوقف أي ساعة، إحنا هلأ عندكم أي ساعة؟ إحنا عنا الصبح، أنتوا عندكم بعرفش أي ساعة. أنا اسمي ريم تلحمي، وعم بعمل هذا الفيديو بناء على طلب من أسيل صديقتي اللي حبت إني أشارك معكم بهاي المناسبة، وأحكي شوي عن فلسطين، أحكي شوي عني، أعرفكم عن حالي، إيش بعمل، إيش بسوي. أنا فنانة فلسطينية مولودة بفلسطين وعايشة بفلسطين. بغني وبمثل. بديت أغني من جيل كتير صغير، يعني يمكن كان عمري 6 سنين لما حطوني أول مرة في دور في مسرحية للأطفال في المدرسة. بعدها ضليتني هيك أغني في البلد، في محلات صغيرة، سواء في المدرسة أو احتفالات بالبلد، لحد ما طلعت من البلد وبلشت أغني أكتر برا البلد وأتعرف أكتر برا. فيما بعد غنيت كمان ألبوم مع فرقة صابرين، وبعدين عملت ألبومي الخاص اسمه يحملني الليل. يعني عملت مجموعة أشياء والتقيت بموسيقيين مختلفين وممثلين مختلفين ومخرجين اشتغلت معهم، وهذا كله أتاح لي فرصة للتعرف على أنماط مختلفة، على أشكال كتيرة، والتجمع هذا والاختلاف اللي كان بيننا كلياتنا خلى الأشياء الجديدة تطلع، خلى أفكار جديدة تبين، خلى في إبداع لأنه كان في اختلاف. فكل واحد كان يجيب الفكرة تبعته ونخبص الأشياء في بعض ونطلع بإشي جديد. فغنيت القصائد الفصحى وغنيت القصائد اللي بالعامية. بالإضافة لكل هذا حكيت قبل ومرقت عنها هيك إني أنا كمان اشتغلت في مسرح للأطفال، بمعنى اشتغلت في أعمال مسرحية للأطفال، كنت أغني وأمثل وأرقص وأحرك دمى. وواحدة من هاي المسرحيات كان اسمها بلقيس، كتبها جوزي كامل الباشا، وبعدين تم إنتاجها للمسرح يمكن قبل شي 15 سنة أو أكتر، يمكن 17. وفيها أنا بغني وبمثل وبحرك دمي وبغني أكتر، يعني مجموعة كبيرة من الأغاني، يمكن حوالي 5 أغاني. وبدي أسمعكم اليوم واحدة من هاي الأغاني اللي من مسرحية بلقيس. دنيا الصبح، أبصر كيف صوتي. الله يسامحك يا أسيل. نامي لما وقت النوم يجي، يلا لفراشك نور عيوني يا بلقيس، عشتي وعاش اللي شافك، شمس الدنيا لما تغيب بيطلع نور من شفافك. بنتي يا بنتي جيتينا، جبت الفرحة معاكي، جبت البسمة لعيوني وشفافي بتتمناكي. بنتي يا بنتي جيتينا، جبت الفرحة معاكي، جبت البسمة لعيوني وشفافي بتتمناكي. بتمنى انه الاغنيه عجبتكم، بتمنى انه تقضوا اوقات حلوه في هذا البرنامج اللي عملته أسيل، وتستفيدوا من مجموعه من المعلومات اللي راح تسمعوها من الناس. بشكر أسيل وبشكركم على استماعكم، والى اللقاء في فلسطين ان شاء الله. باي.
Thank you, Reem. That was amazing. I love Reem and I love his voice. And now we would love to listen from Noor Abu Zaid. I met Noor with a beautiful friend of mine, with Mina Shmali, and I love kind of like all these connections that bring joy and interest and a beautiful kind of outcomes of art and collaborations. And like that has been amazing with Mina before, and now listening to you, Noor, it's like I'm getting so excited. I would love you, Noor, to share more about yourself, because as much as I can say how amazing your poetry is and how impressed I am every time I hear you, I would love to kind of hear from you more, telling more people where did you start, how did you end up as amazing as you are, and kind of like more about what you would like to share.
All right. Marhaba, assalamu alaikum for those who respond, and good evening or good morning, depending on what part of the world you're in right now. As Asil so graciously introduced me, my name is Noor Abu Zaid. I am a spoken word artist and poet, and sneaker aficionado, which has become obvious through people being able to pry now through the internet. I've been involved in a lot of poetry and arts work over the last, it's been about 10 years. I started off doing spoken word poetry through sort of Muslim community events, and then found myself in the Australian poetry slam scene, and after a few state finals and a few state finals and a national final, I found myself sort of just part and parcel of the Melbourne poetry community. And the great thing about spoken word poetry is, to me, it remains the rawest sort of expression of human emotion possible, because the beautiful thing about spoken word is there aren't any rules in particular. It's sort of similar to colloquial Arabic poetry when we talk about something like zajal, for example. It's something raw. It's not necessarily on the spot, but it doesn't have to follow the conventional rules of prose and poetry. And it's just real and honest. And my experience with spoken word in Australia, and even performing in the US a couple of years ago, I was on the National Poetry Slam team and we performed in Chicago. Part of what I saw was the majority of people use spoken word poetry as a means to talk their social political realities. It's not just love poems and daisies, which is still nice, mind you, when well written and well performed, but it has become such a space to see new and established activists speak on their work. And this brings us to, I suppose, why I'm here right now and talking about the Palestinian issue. I am not actually Palestinian. I mean, I tried to marry a Palestinian a couple of times, rejected. So I almost got there. But no, all serious. My dad is from Egypt and my mum is from Syria. And as a person who has basically grown up seeing how ridiculous political borders are, I recognize the Palestinians as my people. They always were and always will be. And in a modern setting, the Palestinian situation is, one of those ongoing, it's one of those ongoing struggles against colonization. A lot of us come from post-colonized worlds, or we live in Western colonial states like Australia, where it's sort of like it's done. The colonizers have won, and it's a different battle. It's a battle for reparations, for equal rights. It's fighting for a different way for indigenous land rights. But the Palestinian colonization is literally still ongoing. And for a lot of us, there is still this glimmer of hope that we can have some, inshallah, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say peaceful outcome for Palestinians. I want to say an awesome, fair, and just outcome for Palestinian people. And this fight is not over. And the reality of the Palestinian situation and the Palestinian people is that is a cause that, inshallah, we won't give up anytime soon. And for the rest of the world, like, Palestine remains that important case study in modern colonial states, and what it means to continue to fight and not be deterred or not be forced to give up. And through the Palestinians, we find hope. Because, like I said, I'm half Egyptian, half Syrian, and the last 10 years haven't been particularly great for either one of those countries. But we look back to, our brothers and sisters in Palestine, and in their struggle has always been hope for the rest of the region. And the reality is, a lot of what happens in Palestine is dependent on what happens in the rest of the region. And I don't think we've ever really lost sight of that. And that's why I have a lot of poetry on Palestine. And this is a great segue into what I'm actually meant to be doing here. Sorry if I went off a tangent and started talking too much. So I wrote this particular piece a few years ago now. I actually performed it when I went to the US. And being in the US, it's sometimes it's a lot more difficult to talk about the Palestinian situation, because obviously in the United States, there's a large population of Jewish people, and often they conflate issues surrounding the state of Israel with Jewish identity. And it becomes very messy, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it in any way, shape, or form, which is unfair. But I went there with this poem, and alhamdulillah, it was heard. And so I will share it with you guys today. If there's anyone on the stream who has been to any PCA event, you've probably heard it, like their honorary pretend Palestinian poet who rocks up and does this poem. So without further ado, I'll just get to the poem. I haven't done this sort of live on the stream sitting down, so hopefully it's all loud and clear, inshallah. All right, bismillah. This one is for the killers, for the thieves and for the murderers, for those who dance on stolen land and for the continued colonizers that create them. Grow a pair of lungs, learn to breathe the same air our people were denied, inhale the roll that courses through their airways, and as they claw their way up from beneath the dirt, learn to speak with the same dust that is settled upon their tongues. There is enough red on your hands to make them paintbrushes, and we have had enough of your masterpieces. Our people will paint their own futures. Too often it is said that history is written by the victors, as if all this was just a game. Let me remind you, our people are not losers. They have fought fist and bone against those above the law. So don't you dare call the continued genocide in Gaza a war. This playing field was never level. Hell, they forced us to play football when all we had was a high school basketball team with torn shorts and worn out kicks with no soles, firing from the front line, trying to make airtime only to be dunked in to the river Jordan. Our jump shots do very little in the presence of a goalkeeper, an iron defense and concrete walls that separate us from the goals of our ancestors, but still our people played anyway. It's funny that we were only ever reduced to hate. They gave us names because they refused to call us human. The beating of these hearts is not called Hamas. And if anything, the so-called hate is only the hate that hate produced, bottled up for decades and eventually induced, elected to fight the occupation you produced and maintained, and our people have lost far too much, and they will no longer settle for the same. Martyrs, musicians, militants, poets, politicians, and peacemakers, reformers, revivers, and refugees. We will write our own histories, rise up from beneath the earth and high-five the sun, because the sunrise has always meant something. Not even you have the power to make it set, and you can bet we will level this playing field where we have excavated the earth with our own bodies, and our resilience means we will never be forced to surrender. We will never be forced to surrender. Our voices will be heard. Hashtag Twitter, Insta, this, status update. This is Project Palestine, international activist networking, finally changing the pace of your political propaganda, and our people will write their own histories. Tonight, we write our own histories because we were never losers. We have sculpted lenses from our eye sockets, forged pens from these very bones, writing with ink that runs through generations of bloodlines. Our ancestors have taken center stage. We've reclaimed our paintbrushes, and we've learned to paint the sun red on this page, because we will never stop rising, because we will never stop rising. And tomorrow, the truth will finally shine. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you, Asil, for throwing this together. I'm always honored to be a part of this and to be a part of the continued conversation and fight for Palestine, and in the bigger picture, being part of the fight against, colonization in all ways, shapes, and forms. And my deepest prayers to all First Nations people worldwide, that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease our collective suffering and bring justice to all those who has been taken away from. My name is Noor Abu Zaid. It's been a pleasure being with you all tonight, and thank you, Asil, for having me. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Noor. Thank you very much. It was such a pleasure listening to this. I have never heard it before, and it's like, oh my God. And really, thank you. I really don't know how you can do that. Like, I cannot follow up with all these kind of emotions and love and passion. And we as Palestinians are so, so lucky to have someone that is really, standing in those lines. And it doesn't have to be, a weapon that we fight for. It was always like it's much stronger when our words are the ones that lead the way to, inshallah, one day of freedom of Palestine and freedom of all those souls that have been suffering. So jazakallah khairan. I'm so happy that you have been with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And before we continue to our beautiful guest Rania, I would like to share a poem of Samah Sabawi. Again, I was supposed to share before, but I just couldn't wait to hear from Noor. So I will share this song, and it's called Song of the Besieged, and the music is by Nahid El-Rayes.
The UN said Gaza was unlivable. But life beyond livability in Gaza is inevitable, like the rainfall and the winter storms. Ferocious, it grows like dandelions, it powers through like inexorable love, like an irresistible kiss, like the birthing of new life beyond the statistics of death. Life beyond livability in Gaza is inevitable, like the sunrise, predictable like the movement of the tides, invincible like flowers in the desert, unassailable like a smile on the lips of the beloved, unequivocal like a word that splits bullets in halves, indomitable like a revolutionary march, unstoppable like the earth's rotation, formidable like a fist in the face of occupation, undeniable like destiny, like freedom from tyranny, like justice for refugees. So listen carefully. 2 million captive hearts are beating off rhythm. There is no harmony beyond livability, only the inevitable. Beware the inevitable.
Thank you, Samah. It's so I'm so sad not to have you here, but she's enjoying her freedom in Darwin. And I'm so happy now to share and introduce one of the most beautiful artists I know, and a team member and partner in some beautiful crimes we have done in the last few years together, and a very proud artist that have been working with me on Book J, on other projects that I've done as well, and a person that I will always ask, Rania, fix it. Rania Ahmed, I'm so honored to have you here tonight, and I would looking so forward to listen to your poem about Palestine and home and what kind of you would like to share with us. But please first, if you can tell us more about yourself, like Noor, how did you start? How did you start writing? Why do you write? And how this very strong kind of tool to share and to express and to love and sometimes to be angry is something that you are using all the time. So please share with us more of that.
My name is Rania. I'm a poet and spoken word artist and a writer. Also, I write because it's my medium to connect, and I actually love to connect. I'm from an Egyptian background. I started writing probably at 14, migrated from a while back, 1992. And I found that writing helped me cope with the trauma of migration. So yeah, I recently took writing seriously about 2015 or 2010, and yeah, went really good for then. Till then, I wrote a couple of things about Palestine. My first poem about Palestine I wrote one Ramadan when Gaza was being invaded, and well, not but well, it's been invaded for a long time. it was being bombed quite a bit, and I remember hearing on the news the news reporter saying they have nowhere to go. They were trying to get to the sea. It was either they go to the sea, they're drowning, or they actually try and get in through a neighboring country who wouldn't open the border for them. Yeah, so that was a very devastating time for me because that was my country. Yeah, so this is what I wrote in that Ramadan. If the world was an arcade, my life would be a shooting game, one where I'm stuck in a glass box screen with nowhere to run. You would be the shooter. As you hold your gun, I run. As your bullets fire, ripping every inch of flesh, splitting half my Terminator body. Except I bleed my heart out. My guts protrude pus out. My head loses chunks and I fall only to get up again, zipping my split half body back to whole normality, gathering my protruded guts, stitching my head together like a Terminator, except I bleed. And just as I heal, you shoot again. You shoot. Until I am in pieces, tiny, unmendable pieces, gathering my shatter, you shoot. Crawling my life away, you shoot. Vomiting my pain, you shoot, zipping up my body, and just as I heal, you shoot. The game is still not over, but I sure am tired of dying. The question is, are you tired of watching?
One more, Rania, would you like to have another one, please?
Yeah. This one's a bit of the child in me talking. So this one's called Play School. I wrote it again for Palestine. It's raining, it's pouring. The old man is snoring. He's now awake and startled. The buildings are shaking, the ladies are weeping while babies are sleeping. Miss Polly saw the dollies who were sick. So she called for the doctor to come quick. The doctor came with his bag in his hand and he told her, there's nothing I can do about that. The incy-wincy spider couldn't find his water sprout. Down came the rain and knocked the spider out. Out came the sunshine, followed by smoky cloud, and the incy-wincy spider was never to climb again. Rain, rain, go away. Come again another day. Little Hanny wants to play. Rain, rain, go away. Meanwhile, Jack and Jill climbed up the hill to be almighty martyrs. Jack went down and blew a town and Jill came tumbling after. And the wheels on the bus go round and round, all the way to nowhere. And that's all we have for you today, kids. There's a bear in there and a scare as well. There are lots of games and lies do tell. Open wide, come inside. It's play school.
Oh, oh my God. You remind me when you said, um, like, while you were sharing the first poem about kind of where we are, and like while all this kind of peace um, agreements happening, the Gaza people were again being bombed, not necessarily with rain, but with another rain. And yeah, it's just there's no words to explain. Rani, thank you very much for sharing it. I'm so glad. I hope that we can hear one more poem from you afterwards. But now I would like to share two more videos of from Palestine. The very first one is from Aya. Aya is a Palestinian singer and a teacher and an artist. And unfortunately, she couldn't be with us kind of live, but she sent us a beautiful video in Arabic to share with us what who she is, and a song that I love so much. So I hope, and I'm sure you guys will like it too.
بصحة وبألف خير. أنا اسمي آية خلف، ولدت بقرية جت المثلث، لكن كمان مرة ولدت روحيا وجسديا وكل شيء وفكريا في القدس. درست في القدس الشريف، القدس المحتلة، درست تربية موسيقية وغناء شرقي، بعلم في المدارس، في المستشفيات وبكثير أماكن. في حمل، في مسؤولية كثير كبيرة تجاه هاي البلد، وأخذت على عاتقي إنه هاي الأولاد أنا بحاجة إني أمرر لها الموسيقى، كيف لازم نمرر لها، كيف نكون حد أولادنا. بغني كثير فلكلور شعبي، فلكلورنا اللي أنا بحبه كثير، ورح أشارككم مقتطف معين من الغناء الفلكلوري. يا ظريف الطول وقفت أقولك رايح عالغربي وبلادك أحسن لك، خايف يا ظريف تروح وتتملك وتعاشر الغير وتنساني أنا. يا ظريف الطول وين مهاجر وين، نتمنى من الله ترجع الناهن، بلك أنا وياك نتلاقى على عين ونغني عتابة ونصدح ميجانا. يا ظريف الطول وقفت أقولك رايح عالغربي وبلادك أحسن لك، خايف يا ظريف تروح وتتملك وتعاشر الغير تنساني أنا. مع السلامة.
Thank you, Aya. And maybe we can share one more video from Rana before Manal. You read it. I'm so excited to hear you. I will also play Rana's video. Rana is also a very old friend of mine. She's a singer and a teacher. She's an English teacher, and I have heard her in the very first time, like maybe 10 years ago, sing, and she kind of sang with me a very small song. And here we are. Let's start you, Rana.
مرحبا، أنا اسمي رنا من فلسطين. أنا صديقة أسيل. كتير مبسوطة إني أكون معكم اليوم. أنا ساكنة بقرية الرامي. الرامي موجودة بشمال فلسطين بالجليل الأعلى، وهي قرية كتير مشهورة ومعروفة بالزيتون. فأنا حابة أشارك معاكم بالأمسية اللي أنتم موجودين فيها، وأقدم لكم أغنية صغيرة من التراث الفلسطيني. الأغنية اسمها عالروزنة. عالروزنة عالروزنة كل الهنا فيها وش عملت الروزانة الله يجازيها يا رايحين حلب حبي معكم راح يا محملين العنب تحت العنب تفاح كل من وليف ومعه وانا ولي في راح يا ربي ناس متهانة ترد الولف ليا عالروزانة عالروزانة كل الهنا فيها وش عملت الروزانة الله يجازيها. شكرا لكم وإن شاء الله نشوفكم عنا قريبا بفلسطين وانبسطوا كتير بأمسيتكم. إلى اللقاء. باي باي.
شكرا يا رنا. And for one of the most beautiful, inspiring ladies I know that I've met almost like 5 years ago, and never, like me and Ami always just like said wow, like when she just opened her mouth she just like always say perfect sentences. How can she do that? And she's just so young. I just love her so much and I miss her so much. I haven't seen her for a while. She's like a little sister. And yeah, I just will let you figure out why I say that when we hear from Manal Yunus.
That really wasn't fair. I think the whole session has already been quite emotional, and then you saying that has made me feel something, and I don't don't even know how I'm going to do this poem, but thank you so much, Asil, for the beautiful introduction. I appreciate you and your work, and you don't seem to get tired, the amount of passion that you put into everything, and I appreciate all the voices that we've heard tonight. I'm going to share a poem. I'm not Palestinian. I am from Eritrea, and my struggle is completely different to the Palestinian people, but I have grown up learning about the struggle of the Palestinian people. And this poem I wrote in 2014 during the siege on Gaza as well. It's called Steel Caps. Young girl, I can hear your plea. When you wipe your mother's tears as she mourns for the loss of another one. You may have had 6 siblings, but never more than 2 living at the same time. I want to tell you it will be okay. But I don't make promises I can't keep. I know it's easy to say stay strong when I'm not confronted by your weeping every day, but young girl, I can see you. Hiding under tables as the boots bust open doors of your humble home, those boots. Steel caps, mid-sole plates, shin height the size of your baby sister's torso. Imagine the damage that they alone could do, that they would do, that they have done. You hold your breath, praying they don't find you, hoping they don't hear the whispers meant for God. On the strip, this is too familiar, isn't it? Perhaps the only freedom you have seen is through the TV screens, when the power stays on long enough for you to catch a glimpse of what life might have been if you weren't caught between checkpoints and tall walls, mother's cries and doctor's calls, daily updates of death tolls or your brother's funerals. And you never could tell the difference between the terrorists and the freedom fighters, the oppressors and the national defenders, God's will or man's will. But you start to wonder when you chose a side, how they decided you should be stamped beneath those steel caps. It's not chance. That double-headed coin has meant you're always on the wrong end of the barrel. Young girl, you are a part of me. Though I may not be Arab and you may not be Muslim, and I may only know your suffering through the same screens that you know my luxury. Do not be afraid, for you have done everything right. Do not let those steel caps kicking your door keep you up at night, for you must wake strong enough to fight, but not like them. Do not let anger and hatred sway you. Let your fear become your strength, and your strength become your peace. Share your peace with your neighbors, and let your oppressors see their terror through your eyes. Do not close your eyes in fear. Let those steel caps remind you of the coward behind the power, for that soldier could not face you without his gear, his arms, his tanks, his years of punching bags and doing planks, without his backup of a well-trained army, a brainwashed population, and a global superpower. He is afraid of you. He needs those steel caps to face your bare feet. He needs guns to face your rocks. And he needs lies to hide your truth. And he needs you to close your eyes so that he can't see that you are just like him. So let him stare into your eyes as they widen, so he can see his own reflection just long enough to recognize how weak he really is, and that you, young girl, do not need boots to be a warrior. You will heal through this pain. You deserve better, and you will see better days. I have faith in you, that I may not know you, and probably never will. I will raise my hands and my voice, and I will stand for you still. That's all I have today. I hope that we all can speak up more and make change, and hopefully end these decades and generations of suffering in Palestine. I think so much of the world is complicit in the Palestinian struggle. And I appreciate the role that I play as someone who may not be directly connected. That's all I have to say. Thank you. You're on mute, Asil.
Thank you, Manan. You said to me, you don't look like you get tired. Exactly, like following your words, Manan. It's like, why I can't be tired, why I cannot just pose as a mother or as a human being or as an activist or an artist, to just do what we do, to do, like we have to continue. Like if we get tired, who will, as subhanAllah, in like how the Sahabas used to do, someone has to carry the raya, someone has to always carry the raya, like who, we cannot get tired. Like I always will feel this kind of responsibility in kind of sharing that. I always think that singing a song for Palestine, looking at the map that has Palestine and asking my daughter to draw and write it together on the map. We are here, to kind of feel furious when she says, I'm Australian. No, wait, you cannot forget who we are and where we came from. Let me teach you again. I know you were born here, but that's where we came from. It's like, it's continuous struggle that even if you are a day travel from Palestine, you feel like you are there, and you are kind of your responsibility to, when you are somewhere else, to tell everybody and you don't know what is Palestine. This lady you spoke about and you wrote about and you shined about, just without really being there. It's just, yeah, I have no words. Thank you, Manal. Thank you very much, Habibti.
Thank you.
Oh man, it's so heavy to MC it. Where are you, Sarah, when I want you? Osama, would you like to join us? I met you, Osama, as the very first people I've met in Victoria, when I was so lucky to join Tales of a City of the Sea and be part of this amazing play talking about the beautiful, suffering, bleeding Gaza. And you never stop making me cry after all those amazing scenes, heartwarming scenes, but also heartbreaking scenes. And it would be like so interesting first to hear from you, your relationship to Palestine. I know that it's very deep inside. And I would like to hear from you kind of your experience maybe working on Tales, and how was it for you as an artist? And I would love to hear your poem that you have about Palestine too. So over to you, Sam.
Thank you very much أسيل. شكرا جزيلا. أولا خلي أبدي باللغة العربية. صباح الخير ومساء الخير، السلام عليكم جميعا. أنا أسامة سام، اسمي أسامة سامي، فنان كاتب ممثل ساكن في أستراليا. طبعا من لهجتي راح تعرفون أنه أنا مو فلسطيني ولكن عراقي، ولكن مثل ما أسيل تفضلت القضية الفلسطينية جدا قريبة على قلبي، وبحث أنه هي نعم مكتوبة هنا على إيدي. عندي فيلم حاليا على نتفليكس اسمه زفاف علي، ولكن المكان النقطة اللي تعرفت عليها مع أسيل هي على مسرحية زفاف، مسرحية تايلز اوف سيتي باي ذا سي، حكايات مدينة على البحر، ومثل الدور شخصية فلسطينية، الدور دكتور رامي. القصيدة مالتي راح تكون باللغة الإنجليزية، ف يعني لازم تعذروني لأنه إحنا ساكنين بأستراليا ولكن now I met Asil when we did a play years ago called Tales of a City by the Sea about the Israeli invasion, and I was very fortunate to partake in that theatre production, which was quite successful, and toured around Australia and even went overseas. But my love for Palestine had started long before that, and I actually, in fact, have a Palestine on my arm, because Palestine to me is not an issue that is limited to a geographical location. Palestine is in the heart, and my heart, wherever I go around the world, is there with me. So, and for everybody else, because it's a human issue, and the artists before me have said it so eloquently and beautifully about, you know, we had Noor, who is obviously not Palestinian, and as well as Manal, and this is yeah, it's just amazing. Apologies. It's just amazing to see the world sort of band together, even though it is a time where we see it as, we might see it as an issue that is disregarded by the world, and an issue that is not seen by the rest of the world. But people like Asil here, for example, who work tirelessly in making sure that this issue is heard, are the reason that, to be honest, I do this. So I'm going to go straight into the poem, so you get a feel and a sense of what my feelings are. And I wrote this piece as the Israeli invasion was happening, and I remember, and what spurred me into writing it was, I remember this scene where people had these beach chairs on the beach, and they were sitting down and watching the bombs on the other side. Even remembering it right now is, I don't know what those people are thinking. I don't know how, but those images, when they were transmitted across the Tasman over into my Australian screens, I said, how can people sit here and not only be silent, but almost like it's a sport, or it's something that they were enjoying. They were watching all these beach chairs, chairs on the beach, and people were shouting in excitement as bombs were raining onto Gaza. And that was devastating. That was devastating for me. As I said, I'm not Palestinian, but as a human being. And there were other images as well, like that, the father with his child by his side. And anyway, I'm going to go straight into it. I have never performed this poem, by the way. I've performed all my other poems. I haven't had the opportunity. So thank you, Asil. And it's called The Jungle. I am tired. Man, I'm tired. Man, woman, I'm tired. Hearing this shot, that bomb, those rockets were fired at children. They'll grow up to be terrorists, so it's required. And it's not only the children who are children. At our core, we're all kids. Need I open the door? We're from God, whatever your faith. But Allah is more secure. Now tell me this, how comfortable is the temperature of your room? Boom? No, you wouldn't hear that sound. Your room is no burial ground. You're like me, a comfortable, comfy human being. It's accolades for dessert, warm smiles tomorrow, and the sound of ching ching. Heating in winter we've got, and when it's bothersome balmy, it's rainbow flavored air conditioning. By the way, PS, I am here to chant slogans and be didactic. Subtlety's not my tactic. War is absurd, even for me, the grandson of a fighting Kurd. From the comfort of my free world, I watch how very few leaders, nor the United Nations, that spare will of organizations, say much, and still the drip drop of children's blood softly dampens the land. And we watch it all unfold live and on demand. And me, I'm anxious about what I need to get from the deli. And I feel like I'm a legend since I attended a humanitarian rally. So who is this person who casually dogs the land loaded with souls, souls who love, love to eat and pray and flirt? Who is the soldier who pulls the trigger on a Palestinian teen wearing a stripy red Tommy Hilfiger t-shirt? I grew up in the war and I got used to seeing the sky in Technicolor. I watched men arm themselves, from dad to the grouchy green-eyed hat seller, and the sound of mortar shells became music to our ears, and mothers formed a ring of hugs in bunkers to assuage our fears. So is it too much? Is it too much to ask a soldier not to hunt a breastfeeding child? The first ever book Dad bought me was called The Jungle, and it told tales deliriously wild. But then the war stopped and the stories turned mild. The smell of sirens ended, and as I, nature intended, grew up and maturely swapped tequila shooters for my play set spoon and teacup. So I asked my creator, oh God, tell me this, why does my Melbourne differ from Gaza's sky? And why do I get heating and cooling and iced tea and a $75 parking fine whilst infants die? Why do I mourn the bread not being fresh wholemeal or rye, when the dogs of war shoot the local baker claiming he was a bad guy? Why does a sniper sit on a rooftop hiding behind an unsteady brick wall, ready to make eternal the sunset on a 7-year-old girl this fall? The honey-eyed girl with golden plaits and a tiny birthmark on her right cheek, the local interpret as a paradise mole. Why does he wish to end this wonderful, wondrous relationship she has with her pomegranate pink doll, the one she calls her bestest friend Barbie? And above all, why is he keen to make of the toy a forever lonely soul? And a cute cat gets a galaxy of likes and comments on Facebook. Little did I realize when I clicked like, its owner was a 12-year-old Palestinian boy named Ali Harouk, who got shot. When the bullet entered his neck, he flapped. It was scalding, hellish hot. And the army tells the world to stop sulking, the whole lot. Even as blood fountained from his face to his toes like it was gushing out a rose after rose. I just wish we didn't sit on a hill to cheer each time a bomb hit a hospital or charred the star out of a teenager's soul. He was just playing with a ball at the beach. Is it too much to allow an olive and mud-colored kid to play soccer on the sand? Is it too much, my callow brother soldier, not to obey your unripe command? I wish we didn't paint the sky with death. I'm sick of being fed the color red. I wish we looted some of Sydney's New Year fireworks stockpile instead, and that Jews and Muslims could lie side by the sea and witness magic wed. The magic of living, being, seeing, smelling the perfume of the shy Jewish girl and the naughty Muslim boys as well. I still wish, and wishes are like butterflies that spiral and become dreams, and dreams are trees which take the sediment of hatred and breathe back love. And we have nothing but this one beautiful life. And so I wish on Cupid's knife we planted flowers instead of landmines, and gave them to each other on St. Valentine's, or Mother's Day, or Secret Lover's Day. The world is our kingdom, but in the prison, the atlas called Gaza, a cobbler isn't free to tie his own shoelaces. Yeah, he might be a shoe bomber off to blow them up at the races. My brother soldier, please put your weapon aside, that grenade of hatred in your mind. You don't even have to be kind to me or to your neighbor or anyone if it's a grind. All I ask is don't shoot whatever child your scope finds. Okay, maybe be kind to your mum. She gave birth to you and gave you the gift of instant love. Isn't your country represented by the peace dove? Leave the gun. Leave the killing to history and Genghis Khan and Attila the Hun, and discover the joys of life are found in the simplest acts. If we opened our iris's door, there's so much joy in appreciating the pictures your child draws, in how the rules of reality she ignores, in all the random colors, talking planets and countless flaws. You still pause, take it all in, then ring the sound of your applause. There is so much joy in noticing the unhurt droplet on a cherry in an orchard after the rain stops kissing the ground from above, and so fulfilling feeling the drip of sweat slowly spring out of a lover after making love. I just wish we didn't use the words, oh, it's just the price of war. That just opens the door to the jungle. Welcome to the devil's horns, where we cannot plant flowers or roses anymore. By the time we stop this vicious flow, our jungle soil would be so hardened that from its murderous surface, no rose would desire to grow. And we will raise just thorns. Our children will be thorns. Thank you. That's all I have for you today.
All I have? Are you serious, Osama? Oh my God. How come you'd never shared that poem with us? It's I don't know what to say. Actually, one of the reasons this whole night started is like me and my memory of Muhammad Durra, that child. And kind of thinking about really what he had, like what he thought about, how he was trying to be protected behind his dad, and how I see when Rima runs to her dad when I'm trying to catch her, and like she's protected in there, and how did his dad feel when he was actually trying to protect him, trying to say, no, we are just trying to get, safe, to keep safe, but instead he lost his child while he's trying to, and how this kind of shelter that is normally the dad was so transparent to have all these bullets into his body, and I was his age, but no one really did anything to stop that. And since then, since 2000, 20 years after, another 2,000 children or more have been killed by this occupation. Uh, I cannot thank you enough for sharing this. I don't know what to say and how I feel about it, but all I know is we're so lucky to have you and Rania and Noor and the amazing artists to kind of share these feelings while talking about the most beautiful land that have never seen peace. Um, Sharing this night just for that space today and sending all this love to our people that are facing this soldier every day, like living in Palestine personally. I see them in the morning with the cup of tea, with the walk to the bus, with the rush to the university, with every single spot I'm asked to stop and give my identity and say my name and where I'm going and what I'm doing. Even when I came to Australia and 3 months went back there, why are you here? As it was not my home and not my country. So I might not have amazing vocabulary in English to explain it enough, but I think it's much, much more than what I can share at such night. And I would love maybe Usama, before we listen to Buran, if we, I don't know, I know we didn't plan it, but I would love if you should sing with me this. And you know, I think what I'm talking about. And that's how I feel. Do you know what I'm going to ask you?
I don't know. I'm looking at my guitar, but I don't know what you're gonna ask.
You know the song we sang every time before Tales? I didn't even prepare it, but we sang Jannah, Jannah, Jannah.
Oh, yeah,
And as much as I have love to Palestine, I also have lots of it to Iraq. And I know this is an Iraqi song you taught me. I thought I knew the words, but I said, Asil, Asil, it's not this way. Let me show you how. And that become every time I see any seagull around, I say like I sing it to Rima and remember that moment of me listening. Like I grown up loving Iraq and I love the accent, but I love if you can just bring your guitar and we can sing it together.
Yeah, you have absolutely put me on the spot, but if you want to put another poem up, so I can tune the guitar.
Sure, I will do that.
And
we will listen to Buran,
yes.
And Rida, and by the time you would be
all right.
I'm sorry, Osama, I would love to hear you.
No, thanks again. Thank you, Asil, for putting this event together, and thanks to all the participants from Manal, Rania, Noor. Amazing words, and this is really important. I mean, what is it? It's a couple of hours of our life. It really, I mean, we are indebted to this cause, and so not a problem at all.
Yalla, we will wait for you. Let's listen to the beautiful Buran. I have to say, it was so amazing kind of how artists kind of like put and dedicated this time to write the words, to say the songs, and to share the passion from Palestine, the passion of Palestinians. That when I lived in Palestine, all I wanted is to kind of see those we sang all these amazing songs like Hadiya Bahar, and say like waited for those that have left Palestine. Every single song we have grown up listening to and talking about was something small of what we could teach our children. And I would love to share that more and more, as much as I can, with all the little children around, to listen to Aya's Darifat Tool, to listen to Reem's Balqis's song, to listen to all this amazing Arrozana songs from Rana. It's like amazing songs from the traditional songs of Palestine that stays with us, and how else we can kind of keep this awakened every day in our daily life, but just to kind of keep saying those songs and keep telling the stories. We are all storytellers and of our history, our life, our everyday struggle, and that's one of the most beautiful ways to keep it awakened, like to kind of light this candle every night. So let's listen to Buran's song.
مرحبا، معكم بوران سعدة. أنا فلسطينية من قرية مهجرة بالأصل اسمها ميعار. ميعار هي قرية بقضاء عكا في شمال فلسطين المحتلة. أهلي عاشوا النكبة وهن أطفال.
تهجرنا لقرية مجاورة اسمها شعب. هاي القرية لا زالت موجودة لحد اليوم وأهلي ساكنين فيها. القرية كانت تقع على تلة، قرية ميعار. كانت تطل على بحر عكا وبحر حيفا في مجال رؤية واحد. من أجمل القرى الفلسطينية في الشمال. طبعا مؤلم جدا إنه بشكل دائم وإحنا مرئين نشوف معالم هاي القرية، ولكن على شكل حطام، على شكل مستوطنة قائمة على أراضي هاي القرية. منقدرش نزور البلد إلا إذا بنروح ننظف مقبرة أو نتفرج من بعيد على معالمها الباقية. بالنسبة لإلي الموسيقى الفلسطينية هي ذاكرة تبعيتي، هي التجربة الشخصية اللي أنا عشتها، اللي تورثتها من أهلي، من أمي، من أبوي، من الناس اللي حوالي اللي عاشوا معاناة شعب كامل، اللي بتقدر تتجسد بعائلات مصغرة كل حدا في قصته الشخصية. الموسيقى عادة بتعبر عن فرح، حزن، حالات، مشاعر معينة. الموسيقى الفلسطينية كانت تعبر مثلها مثل أي موسيقى في العالم عن حالات الحب وحالات اجتماعية مختلفة، ولكن مع تكرار الأحداث السياسية تسيست الأغنية الفلسطينية، صار في إلها كتير طابع سياسي، طابع ثقافي أكتر، طابع اللي بيطغى على حياة الناس من حيث الأحداث اللي بمروا فيها كل يوم. كتير تأثرت بالأغنية التراثية الفلسطينية والأغنية الوطنية. هلا لما نقول الأغنية الفلسطينية هي بالمجمل بتكون حاضرة في ذهننا على شكلين: شكل الأغنية الوطنية اللي هي بترتبط بحالة وطنية أو أحداث سياسية معينة، وحالة ثقافية اللي هي طبعا بتعبر عن طريقة حياة الناس، الأعراس، الأتراح، كتير أشياء. كتير أغاني حاضرة في بالي هلأ بحب.
I don't know why it stopped. I will ask. I'm not sure, there's something wrong with that, but I will play that once we record it again. Once I'm sharing it, I'm gonna add all the videos properly and share it again on YouTube. I hope you are ready, Usama, to be with us.
All right.
To sing this. I'm sorry again. As I said, like I was just checking on YouTube how is that going, and it wasn't really showing the videos, so I'll just cut them back again into the final edit. But I would love if you are ready, maybe you can start and I can join you as I go.
You remember some of the lyrics? By the way, everybody, this is absolutely not planned. So thank you, Asil, for putting me on the spot.
I didn't mean it, but I know that you love it, and I am looking forward to kind of listen to it again. We have it for a long time now,
We
so
haven't done this in a long time, a couple of years at least, yeah. جنة جنة والله يا وطن، يا وطن يا حبيب، يا ابو تراب الطيب، حتى نارك جنة، حتى نارك جنة.
جنة 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 والله يا وطننا، جنة 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 والله يا وطننا، يا وطن يا حبيب، يا ابو تراب الطيب، حتى نارك جنة، حتى نارك جنة.
دوري 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 أنا وارث دوري، حتى شوق بلادي يا سمين وجوري.
دوري 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 يا نوارس دوري 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 يا نوارس دوري حتى شوك بلادي يا سمين وجوري حتى شوك بلادي يا سمين وجوري.
زينة 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 نحمل بإيدينا ندعو بالسعادة للقرية والمدينة.
دار دار أزورك بيت بيت أطوفك دار دار أزورك بيت بيت أطوفك خوفي يا حبيبي أموت وما أشوفك خوفي يا حبيبي أموت وما أشوفك.
دار دار أزورك بيت بيت أطوفك خوفي يا حبيبي أموت وما أشوفك.
جنة 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 والله يا وطن
جنة 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 والله يا وطن طيب يا ابو تراب الطيب حتى نارك جنة حتى نارك
جنة. Thank you, Usama. Thank you very much. I will.
That's why, by the way, Asil's musicians rehearse beforehand to avoid situations like this.
I just, you know what, Usama, I love these spontaneous things. Like it's all have been kind of like, you know, kind of very, I didn't really prepare that. I was supposed to have another MC. I know myself, I cry a lot when I do talk about my, you know, my home country. And I couldn't even open my eyes for a week, but I really wanted to kind of this to be really as spontaneous as it is, as our love to Palestine, as our history and our kind of stories and our memories of, you know, this beautiful city and those beautiful songs. And you just make it all the time as, you know, as beautiful as, you know, always. So thank you for sharing this. I will try one more time to, I've got some messages also about to play Burhan's video. Let me try again. And please guys, let me know if it's working or not, if that's okay. Let's kind of, let me try again. Let me just open it first and see how we can do it. Maybe I will make it kind of smaller of Burhan, from Burhan's, and try to share it again. I'm sorry, I'm really not sure why it's happening like this, but let's play Burhan again.
أنا فلسطينية من قرية مهجرة بالأصل اسمها معار. معار هي قرية بقضاء عكا في شمال فلسطين المحتلة. أهلي عاشوا النكبة وهن أطفال. تهجرنا لقرية مجاورة اسمها شعب. هاي القرية لا زالت موجودة لحد اليوم وأهلي ساكنين فيها. القرية كانت تقع على تلة، قرية معار كانت تطل على بحر عكا وبحر حيفا في مجال رؤية واحد، من أجمل القرى الفلسطينية في الشمال. طبعا مؤلم جدا إنه بشكل دائم وإحنا مرئين نشوف معالم هاي القرية، ولكن على شكل حطام، على شكل مستوطنة قائمة على أراضي هاي القرية. منقدرش نزور البلد إلا إذا بنروح ننظف مقبرة أو نتفرج من بعيد على معالمها الباقية. بالنسبة لإلي الموسيقى الفلسطينية هي ذاكرة تبعيتي، هي التجربة الشخصية اللي أنا عشتها، اللي تورثتها من أهلي، من أمي، من أبوي، من الناس اللي حوالي اللي عاشوا معاناة شعب كامل، اللي بتقدر تتجسد بعائلات مصغرة كل حدا في قصته الشخصية. الموسيقى عادة بتعبر عن فرح، حزن، حالات مشاعر معينة. الموسيقى الفلسطينية كانت تعبر مثلها مثل أي موسيقى في العالم عن حالات الحب وحالات اجتماعية مختلفة، ولكن مع تكرار الأحداث السياسية تسيست الأغنية الفلسطينية. صار في إلها كتير طابع سياسي، طابع ثقافي أكتر، طابع اللي بيطغى على حياة الناس من حيث الأحداث اللي بمرقوا فيها كل يوم. كتير تأثرت بالأغنية التراثية الفلسطينية والأغنية الوطنية. هلا لما نقول الأغنية الفلسطينية هي بالمجمل بتكون حاضرة في ذهننا على شكلين: شكل الأغنية الوطنية اللي هي بترتبط بحالة وطنية أو أحداث سياسية معينة، وحالة ثقافية اللي هي طبعا بتعبر عن طريقة حياة الناس، الأعراس، الأتراح، كتير أشياء. كتير أغاني حاضرة في بالي هلأ بحب أسمعكم إياها. طبعا الموسيقى من وأنا وصغيرة ربيت عليها، ما كنتش أعرف إنه هذا هو المجال اللي أنا بحب أمشي فيه كل حياتي. لحد ما كبرت وصرت بالجامعة، وخلال تواجدي بالجامعة بسنتي الأولى قررت إنه أنا راح أروح لمجال الموسيقى كمان بالمجال الأكاديمي، وكمان رحت لمجال العلاج بالموسيقى اللي هو طبعا دايما بنقول الموسيقى غذاء الروح أو العلاج تبع كل حدا لذاته. فهذا المجال اللي حسيت إنه ممكن أوصل لكتير ناس، لكتير صعوبات ناس من خلال الموسيقى والفنون. الأغنية الشعبية الفلسطينية كتير إلها أثر على إيش أنا بغني على المسرح، كتير إلها حضور، والأغنية الوطنية كذلك. فممكن أسمعكم هيك لقطات صغيرة من هاي التشكيلة اللي براسي هلا. عالرباعية عالرباعية واحنا ما منا معالي غلوبية، عالرباعية عالرباعية واحنا ما منا معالي غلوبية. نادي يا منادي يوم استشهادي، نادي يا منادي يوم استشهادي، فوق أرض بلادي تحلى المانية، فوق أرض بلادي تحلى المانية. مدي داياتك يا مريم، مدي داياتك يا هي، نادي خياتك يا مريم، نادي خياتك يا هي. قومي تنحطب يا مريم، قومي تنحطب يا هي، حنك مرطب يا مريم، حنك مرطب يا هي. ويا ظريف الطول وقفت أقولك رايح عالغربة وبلادك أحسن لك، خايف يا ظريف تروح وتتملك وتعاشر الغير وتنساني أنا. يا ظريف الطول يا سن الضحوك، يلي رابي في دلال امك وابوك، يا ظريف الطول يوم الغرابوك، شعر راسي شاب والظهر انحنى. يا ظريف الطول مالي وماليكم، وبتالينا بالهوى وش حاليكم، وإن كان عشرة غيرنا طابت ليكم، خبرونا تاني دبر حالينا. شكرا.
How amazing was that? I love listening to Baran's voice, and I love kind of this kind of mix of different songs that she sang. And while she's talking, I could just imagine those hills in between Akka's beach and Yafa's and Haifa's, and kind of those places that we as Palestinians, as she said, we were not allowed to actually go there unless we're going to clean up a place, or like always question for going back to our demolished villages that our parents and our families have left as children. Um, Thank you, Buran, very, very much. And before we continue, I would like also to hear from Rida. Rida is also sharing a song I love so much. He has a beautiful voice, and he tells kind of a story of Palestine in his way, of someone that haven't like lived in Palestine, but someone that is living this kind of pain and way of thinking about Palestine as a cause for life. So I will leave you to hear his amazing voice and the way he talk about it. And I'm sorry I'm speaking in English all the time. This is the whole thing, is to share with, of course, the kind of Palestinians and people that support Palestine all around the world. And I just try to be the one that is in between all these amazing actors and artists and poets and singers, to kind of be able to link them all together, as like if I'm sewing a beautiful big blanket of love to Palestine. So I'm really apologizing, but I hope that, you know, I can just do that meanwhile. And this here, Rida.
السلام عليكم. بلدنا حلوة كثير، اسمها فلسطين. اجوا سراقين بدهم يسرقوها، بدهم يسرقوا الأراضي والبيوت، بس احنا ما خليناهم. حاولوا يقتلوا، حاولوا يسرقوا البيوت، حاولوا ياخذوا الأراضي من أصحابها. قتلوا حتى أطفال صغار لسه باللفة مثل إيمان حجه. قتلوا أولاد بيلعبوا بالشارع مثل محمد الدرة وفارس عودة. فارس عودة مسك الحجر ووقف قدام الدبابة. متخيلين؟ وقف قدام الدبابة وحكى لهم مش رح تسرقوا أرضي. هيك انتو كمان لما ينسرق منك القلم أو لعبتك، حاول خبر واحد كبير، خبره، خليه ياخذ لك حقك. وإذا ما لقيت حدا كبير، انت ضلك حاول ترجع قلمك وترجع لعبتك وتعاقب اللي سرق، لأنه هاد سراق ولازم يتعاقب. ومثل هيك تماما فلسطين لازم نضلنا ندافع عنها ونحاول نرجعها ونرجع أراضينا وبيوتنا ونعاقب اللي سرقوها. أنا اسمي رضا ياسين، فلسطيني وعايش بالأردن، وبحلم كثير إني أعمل أي إشي لحتى أرجع فلسطين، سواء بكلمتي أو سواء بإيدي أو بأي طريقة ممكن أعملها. وبدي أسمعكم هاي الأنشودة عن فلسطين. موطني الجلال والجمال والسناء والبهاء في رباك والحياة والنجاة والهناء والرجاء في هواك هل أراك سالما منعما وغانما مكرما، هل أراك في عناك تبلغ سما موطني.
Thank you very much, Rida. I don't really know Rida that closely, but I love the way he fights to talk about Palestine, his PDS work, his everything that he does every day to kind of, you know, say the right words and say kind of stand for Palestine and say what he should say for those who and about those who have stolen a land he have never been like able to visit himself. And because when I first came to Melbourne and Australia, other than the beautiful Samah Sabawi, who is for me a sister and a mother, I've met someone I love so much, and I have a huge admiration for his work for Palestine and the way he does things, and the way, like, every small detail of his life cannot really be separated from Palestine, someone that is also listening now. And before we go to Rania to share with us her last poem, I have two songs I want to sing. The very first one is a song I sang first for him and only, and I cannot forget how, like, all my hopes to see Palestinians in diaspora and to know more about them and what they do and how they feel, have they actually forgotten about us? Um, like the tears in his eyes and his facial expression and the way he looked at me made me feel like this whole struggle for years is really worth it. I know you're not expecting this Nasser Mashni, but this song is for you. And it's just a thank you also for all your work for Palestine since I met you and before. And for Amma Abu Nasser and all his work. This song is for you both. على طريق عيتت يمي قطعوا صلاتي واحد حبيب الروح يمي واحد حياتي ودعوني وراحوا يمي صوب الشجاعي وقالوا شو هم من موت يمي تبقى القضية نحن دقنا العذاب يمي دقنا حالاته واللي نسي أرضه يمي يعدم حياته على طريق غزة يمي قطعوا صلاتي واحد حبيب بالروح يمي واحد حياتي. And because this whole night was dedicated after the 30th of September, that 20 years for the murder and the martyr Muhammad Durra. There's a short song I grown up listening to for the last 20 years. And it just explains what happened. And it says, كان شايل ألوانه كان رايح مدرسته وبيحلم بحصانه وبلعبه وطيرته لما انطلق الغدر وموت حتى برأته سال الدم الطاهر على كراسته. He was in his way to his school and he was thinking and dreaming about his toys and his plane and his toys and books, and then this bullet has just entered his body, and all his pure blood just filled the space. And that what happened to Muhammad Durra that we spoke about, me and Usama before. And that's just kind of a little bit of anger and feelings that I can share and talk about when I think about Muhammad, and I think about me growing up as a child, thinking about him and about his family. الله يرحمك يا محمد. الله يرحم all the martyrs, all الشهداء اللي استشهدوا بفلسطين من أول ما احتلت لحد اليوم. Rania, before I start crying again, would you like to join us again and share with us our last poem for tonight and end this beautiful night together with you?
I just want to say, look, I haven't stopped crying since I've gotten to know this lady. Like, she actually taught me how to cry. So here's to our friendship. That's it. Alhamdulillah. طيب. Dear diary, today more children died. More birds are in the sky, more stars are in the sky, more birds building nests, more people running around clocks, running, while more children die. More laughter, more distractions, more cooking shows and comedy shows and family shows and commercial breaks where more children die. Followed by comedy shows and footy shows. Today, we will show you how to make red velvet. Pour the red food dye onto a mix of chocolate. Pour the mix, beat the red evenly into brown, a little similar to the beating you see on commercial breaks, blood pouring down tan skin, topped up with fairy dust from the black cherry on top. It no longer matters which grocer the cherry came from. What matters is the silence. Absent eyes gazing upon memories under the rubble, it lives. Turn it off. Turn off the commercial breaks. Do not listen to the radio. I even stopped eating red velvet. Still, dear diary, more children are dead. Little red velvets, they talk. They say, Sa'ukhbirullah, I will tell the Lord. Little child, there were days the moon shone upon nations where all colors of the rainbow were equally admired. Today, the moon shines upon a nation where the wind no longer sways the leaves. Instead, the wolf's huff brings nations to shatter. And the moon shines upon delusional slaves refusing to believe they've been enslaved. There will be days the moon will shine on a great nation who will see things for what they really are, that no matter how loud a wolf's puff, a house of bricks will not go down. But for now, little child, shut your eyes and dream of a world of your own, where birds sing to the colors of the rainbow, a world of unicorns and swings, fairy floss and candy, a world away from this world.
Astaghfirullah. I remember like reading this like message that some like a child wrote, and I said, I will tell God everything, and it's just really so real when I say, you know, never tell Palestinians there's no God. Like, never tell people that you don't believe there's God, because that's our only hope. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our only hope. And this land of people, like, I'm not talking about nations, but subhanallah, like all these betrayals of, like, you know, of different nations around the world to Palestine is just unbelievable. And you cannot make it unpolitical when everything is political about Palestine, can we? And there's no a more like best ending, better ending of like than saying, Sa'ukhbirullah, I will tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everything that everybody has been doing as a child and as a mother and as an artist and an activist. That's kind of my only space and like only shelter to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day with every kind of hard news that we hear, every kind of new thing that we see, every accident, every murder, every child killed. The only thing we can go to, our only place is like pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, say, you know why, and you fix it. And I always ask, I would love to be there the day that I see your justice on earth, the justice you promised us. I want to be there present and see what you like to see the promise come to life one day. Thank you, Rania. Thank you, Osama. Thank you, Samah. Thank you, Manal. Thank you, Noor. Thank you, Rida. Thank you, Buran. Thank you, Aya. Thank you, Rana. I cannot thank you enough for you being tonight here. Thank you, Osama, for sharing this amazing poem I have never heard before. And I hopefully will have like more nights for Palestine where we can share it. We will repost this, and it has a big video. Sorry for all this kind of craziness of like, I don't know what's happening. I was supposed to share it in a different way, but inshallah next time it will be kind of like with other people that will share their love to Palestine. And I cannot really thank you enough for this beautiful night. And I hope you can sleep. I don't know how about myself, but I hope you can find a nice night. Osama, do you want to share anything before we finish?
Shukran, Asid. Not sharing, just express my gratitude again, and thank you for inviting myself and to be able to hear the other performers, whether they were here or abroad through the video link. It's been great, and the cause continues, and I think that's the takeaway out of this is not a one-off event. This is one of many events that is continuous, and very privileged to be here, and I'm always grateful to share our, whether it's poetry or songs or whatever it is you want to spring on us last minute together. So thanks, and shout out to all the participants as well who just made this night very, very special. And yeah, the important takeaway is that the cause continues. We can't, like, for me, the reason you haven't heard that poem is because that poem is not the be all or end all. This is not just the way I feel about we talked about, Noor talked about being an honorary Palestinian. I think we're all honorary Palestinians, really. And so yeah, let this, like you said, take the torch or the flag, الراية، نحمل الراية ونكمل المسير لحد ما فلسطين تكون حرة until Palestine is free. So I wish everybody a wonderful and pleasant evening or day, and until the next one. Shukran Asil, and shukran Rania.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. And we are so lucky to have you all. We Palestinians are so lucky really to kind of have this love and support from the end of the world, the other side of the world.
Well, you know what else also? The نشيد الوطني العراقي نفس النشيد الوطني الفلسطيني. I actually told you in كأس الآسيا a few years ago, I went to Canberra to watch Iraq play Palestine. And of course, being Iraqi, I'm going to go for Iraq. And then they said, then the Iraq national anthem. And we all up, موطني موطني. And we sat down. And they're like, the Palestinian national anthem. And they went up, like, موطني موطني. I'm like, oh, I guess we'll sing it as well. So it was really wonderful to share that experience, that truly we share the same words and the same chords. So, yeah.
Thank you, Sama. We definitely do. So thank you very much for everybody that have been watching us. And inshallah, next time we will have more stories, more memories, and more love for Palestine. Until that time, I hope you guys have a good night and lovely sleeps. And have a beautiful day in Palestine too. Assalamu alaikum.